Well, hello there. I'm Robin May, and I am the founder of the I Believe in Marriage Network, and I'm super excited about this series. It's called Fix Your Foundation, the often overlooked or underestimated building blocks for marriage. I don't know about you. Well, yes, I do. Because I'm sure we're all alike. We have so many things pulling at our time and our attention. The fact that you're even looking at this video 24 seconds in means a lot. So I want to make sure that I jump right to the content. I want to first, though, share with you what you can expect in this series, and then we'll get right into the content, all right? So, over the next 4 weeks, every week for 4 weeks, you will receive in your inbox a video on this topic, Fix Your Foundation, the often overlooked and underestimated building blocks for marriage. It'll come right in your email. If you want some additional support, we did create a guide that has additional questions that you can ask yourself or you and your spouse can use together. You're going to love this. Let me tell you how to get your hands on it. Go to ibelieveinmarriage.com/Jenga. Don't you love that? ibelieveinmarriage.com/Jenga. Why Jenga? Have you ever played Jenga? You know, when you're playing Jenga, you're building the blocks up, the tower up. Then you begin to move one block at a time. You remove one block at a time, and you put that block on top, and then you remove this block and you put it on top. But after a while, the foundation starts to get a little shaky, and eventually the tower will fall. When we play Jenga, it might take 5 minutes, it could take 15 minutes, but eventually that tower is going to fall. I want you to get that visual in your mind when it comes to your marriage. If you are not making sure that you're nurturing the building blocks of your marriage, if you're not nurturing the foundation of your marriage, eventually the tower of your marriage will fall. And we don't want that to happen, not on our watch. So we want to make sure that you are building your foundation in an appropriate and healthy way. So again, go to ibelieveinmarriage.com/Jenga to get your hand on that guide. I want you to make sure you're inviting your friends to participate in this series. I always say friends don't let friends have shady marriages. So go to ibelieveinmarriage.com and tell them to go as well /Jenga. All right. Now, each video will only be 10 minutes or less. I really want it to be much less. Again, not that this isn't important, not that you shouldn't invest your time in this, but we just know there's so many things pulling at us. If I can give you this information in under 10 minutes, I will. Of course, this video might be a bit longer because we're setting the foundation, but I just want you to know what to expect moving forward. All right, now as I dive into these building blocks, again, over the course of 4 weeks, a full month, you'll end up with eight often overlooked or underestimated building blocks for marriage. But I am not suggesting that these 8 building blocks are the only important characteristics of marriage. Not at all. But again, I believe in my work with couples as a licensed therapist and as a certified life coach, I have found that these are often, again, overlooked. We don't put as much attention on these. But there are some primary principles that we should honor. And in the guide, I do cover a few of those. I list them. Things such as love and affection, sexual satisfaction, communication. I like to say we shouldn't even be debating those things. Those things are a given in a marriage, particularly a marriage that honors God. Those things are a given. But I do list them just so you can know that we are well aware. All right? So, now that we've set the foundation, one more thing. I want to suggest to you how you can look at this video. If you and your spouse are watching this video together, I encourage you to do this. Or if you're going through this series together, this is what I encourage you to do. I want you to set a time that you're going to say, okay, honey, we're going to go through this series together. Every week, we're going to commit to watching the video by this day. And then we'll set a time to talk about what we watched. So that way you can go about your day, your spouse can go about their day, you can go about your week, and you can say by this time we'll look at the video and we'll discuss it on this day. All right? If you're looking at it by yourself, no worries. I don't want you to feel bad about that. You can look at the video, and if you and your spouse are able to have healthy conversations, bring it up casually one day. You know what? I looked at this video and I learned this. What do you think about that? If you're not in such a good place, you can still go through this process. I want you to listen to the principles that I share, and I want you to work on you. There's a whole conversation I can have with you about that, but just know, even if you are the only one working in your marriage, if you're the only one, you can start the process of change. It does take 2, but you might be the one who can start it. All right, let's dive into the building blocks for this video. There are 2 blocks that I want to share with you today, and block number 1 is discovering the anchor for your marriage. You and your spouse have to discover the anchor for your marriage. Now, when I shared this analogy with my husband, he loved these principles, by the way. When I shared this analogy with him, he said, but baby, when I think anchor, I think of something pulling us down. I want you to shift your thought about that a little bit. I want you to think about the anchor as the thing that is unshakable, the thing that is unmovable, and the thing that you both agree on, that you can grab hold to when life gets crazy. Because let me tell you something. Life is going to get crazy. Let me tell you how my husband and I use our anchor. And as people of faith, our anchor is faith, prayer, and our relationship with God. Now, you can identify the anchor, but you got to make sure you're using the anchor too. So, how my husband and I use this, because one of the areas of growth for our marriage is when we are going through, either we're having an issue, or I'm having an issue with something, or he's having his own issue, or maybe we're just under a lot of pressure in our life. What has happened is that I go to my corner, he goes to his corner, and we deal with it separately. And we need something that brings us back to what I call the center of the room. And that's what our relationship with God, prayer, our faith is. That's our anchor. Again, it's unshakable, it's unmovable, and it's something we both agree upon. And it allows us to come back, grab hold to that together to draw us closer together. So if you're a person of faith, let that be your anchor as well. If you're not a person of faith, you have to identify what is that thing that is bigger than you and your spouse, that's outside of you and your spouse, that you can grab hold to, that brings you back together. Now, this is important. The anchor is not meant to be a distraction. It is meant to be a stabilizer. So whatever you choose, it shouldn't be a distraction for you and your spouse. It should be what stabilizes you. All right, so that's building block number 1. Let me tell you about building block number 2. This is probably my favorite one in this series. I think all of them I love, but I think this might be my favorite one. And it is the practice of consistently improving your EI, your emotional intelligence, and that includes self-awareness. So what is emotional intelligence? It is the capacity to acknowledge and be aware of your own emotions and the ability to regulate them. Go ahead and write that down. If you get the guide, there's a space for you to write notes. So the capacity and the ability to acknowledge, be aware of, and regulate, be in control of your own emotions. But it doesn't just stop there. It's the ability to be sensitive to the emotions of someone else, in this situation, your spouse. The ability to be sensitive to. Now, we're not responsible for our spouse's emotions. Like if I get angry, I'm responsible for my own emotions, but I want my spouse to be sensitive to what I am feeling. So that's what emotional intelligence is. Again, people always ask me, Robin, what is the key to a healthy relationship? And they're surprised when I say one of the top things is self-awareness, to know how you are contributing to the process and not projecting all the issues on the lap of your spouse. So what does this look like when we talk about emotional intelligence? It's saying things like, you shouldn't feel like that, telling your spouse what they should and shouldn't feel. Or it's a refusal to adjust when your spouse shares something that bothers them. I mean, this is how I've always been. So, I mean, I'm sorry that that's bothering you. You're going to have to get over it. That shows a lack of emotional intelligence. And y'all, the capacity and the ability to regulate your own emotions and the ability to be sensitive to someone else brings us closer together. Another way emotional intelligence shows up, or a lack thereof, is when we can't control our emotions. We become aggressive. We become angry. We use our tears as manipulation. We get overly worked up over a small situation. Again, that's not having the capacity to regulate your emotions. All right, so our 2 building blocks in part 1 of this 4-part series is building block number 1, developing and using the anchor in your marriage, and building block number 2, consistently improving your emotional intelligence. Your next video will be released in 1 week. Now, if you have any questions, shoot us an email at contact@ibelieveinmarriage.com, or it goes down in the DMs. That's a DM in our Instagram at IBelieve_in_marriage. I'm so excited about this series, and I can't wait to hear your comments and questions. I'll talk to you soon.